Here are the top stories this hour. Dozens killed in suicide attack in Pakistan. Wall Street Journal reporter enters 6th month of wrongful detention in Russia. Plus, 70% of Nagorno-Karabakh Armenians flee war-torn border area. Hello and welcome to World News on VOP TV. I'm Joy Adesowa Iramoseli. A suicide bomb blast struck a religious procession on Friday in Pakistan's Baluchistan province, killing more than 50 people and leaving scores more injured. According to the Deputy Inspector General of Police, Munna Hamid, the bomber detonated himself near the vehicle of the Deputy Superintendent of Police. He stated that the explosion happened near a mosque as people gathered for a procession to mark the Prophet Muhammad's birthday, which is a public holiday in Pakistan. No group immediately claimed responsibility for the attack, and Tehreek-e-Taliban, the Pakistani Taliban, an umbrella group of Sunni Islamic extremist group, denied any role. The regional chapter of the ISIS terror group, known as ISIS, Quran ICK, has also carried out attacks in the area in the past. Also, Sweden's Prime Minister summoned the head of armed forces and the police commissioner in a bid to stem gang violence, following a wave of violence that has taken at least 11 lives in September alone. 2 people were killed in separate shootings in Stockholm on Wednesday, and a woman in her 20s, thought to be an innocent bystander, was killed when a bomb tore up a house in Uppsala in the early hours on Thursday. According to the Prime Minister of Kristersson, this is a difficult time for Sweden. He also added that the gang will be hunted and defeated by the state. Sweden has liberal immigration policies for more decades and took in more immigrants per capita than any other European nation during the 2015 migration crisis. Those people were reversed by the former Social Democrat-led government but have been tightened by the Kristersson's government. About 20% of Sweden's 10.5 million inhabitants were born abroad. Elsewhere in Russia, Friday marked 6 months since a Wall Street Journal reporter was arrested and detained by Russian authorities on espionage charges, allegations that the journalist, the WSJ, the U.S. government, and dozens of international news organizations have vehemently denied. Gashkovich remains behind bars in Moscow's notorious Lefortovo prison. In March, Evan Geshkovich was an accredited correspondent in Russia and was on a reporting trip when he was arrested by the country's powerful FSB, Domestic Intelligence Service. The U.S. government has declared Geshkovich wrongfully detained, and most experts believe Russia has seized him as a bargaining chip to use as leverage with the United States, similar to other American-held hostages by the Kremlin, such as the WNBA star Brittany Griner and former Marine Paul Whelan. The Biden administration and the Kremlin confirmed they have held talks seeking to find a deal to free Geshkovich. In July, Geshkovich's mother, Ella Milman, spoke on a conversation she had with President Joe Biden about his efforts to bring her son home. Also, more than 70% of Nagorno-Karabakh's original population has fled to Armenia as the region's separatist government stated it will dissolve itself and the unrecognized republic inside Azerbaijan will cease to exist by the end of the year. By Friday morning, 84,770 people had left Nagorno-Karabakh, according to a mass exodus from the region of ethnic Armenians that began on Sunday. The region's population was around 120,000 before the exodus began. The moves came after Azerbaijan carried out a lightning offense last week to reclaim full control over the breakaway region and demanded that Armenians troops in Nagorno-Karabakh disarm and the separatist government disband. A decree signed by the region's separatist president Samvel Shakramayan cited a September 20 agreement to end the fighting, under which Azerbaijan will allow the free, voluntary and unhindered movement of Nagorno-Karabakh residents to Armenia. Elsewhere, India oil imports from Russia rebounded in September after hitting a 7-month low in August as prices fell against Middle Eastern oil. According to preliminary trade flow data, India, the world's third biggest oil importer and consumer, also raised imports from Iraq while taking less Saudi oil. According to the Lled crude analyst at Kepler, Victor Katona, price competitiveness favors Russian crude, and if the Indian refiners want to take 10 volumes from the Middle East, they seem to prefer Iraqi barrels, as Basra medium continues to be some $2 per barrel cheaper than Arab medium or Arab light. According to Kepler data, India's imports of Russian crude jumped back to 1.8 million BDP in September from less than 1.5 million BDP in August. Discounts from September loading Russian oil began to widen after India refiners slowed purchases in August. India refiners have snapped up discounted Russian oil after Western nations imposed sanctions and stopped buying from Russia following its invasion of Ukraine in February last year. In another development, a Vietnamese court sentenced a climate activist to 3 years in prison on charges of tax fraud yesterday, which is the latest in the government's offensive against civil society activists working on climate change. Hong Tim-Min Hong, the founder of the environmental campaign group Change, was convicted after a one-day trial in Ho Chi Minh City. The 51-year-old was also fined $4,100. In June, Hong was detained in the southern metropolis along with her husband and 2 former employees. Prosecutors later accused her of evading taxes amounting to $274,702 from 2012 to 2020. As the founder and head of Change, Hong campaigned to raise awareness around climate change, sustainable development, and the need to fight the trade in endangered animals, a capacity in which she has accrued a long list of international awards and recognition. Russian air defenses close to the front lines in Ukraine's southern Zaporizhia region have shot down one of Moscow's own advanced fighter jets, as shown in footage circulating online. Russian air defense systems took out a Russian Su-35 multi-role fighter jet around the occupied Ukrainian city of Tokmak. Russian authorities have not confirmed the reported incident, and Newsweek have reached out to the Russian Defense Ministry for comment via email. In last August, data compiled and analyzed by Newsweek revealed that more than a fifth of Russia's known manned aircraft and helicopter losses since the start of the war in Ukraine were not down to enemy action. Western analysts say Russia's Air Force has an unusually high rate of self-inflicted losses, coming down to factors like restricted training time, few experienced pilots, and the pressures of constant combat. Myanmar's junta has lashed out at close ally China over a blockbuster film on human trafficking and scam compounds that has tarnished its reputation. Chinese thriller No More Bets tells the story of a computer programmer who is trafficked to an unnamed Southeast Asian country and forced to work as an online scammer for a syndicate. It does not mention Myanmar by name, but its setting resembles the country's lawless northern reaches, where Beijing says its citizens are regularly lured or trafficked and forced to work scamming their compatriots online. The scams anger Beijing, a major ally and arms supplier for the international isolated junta. The junta's consul general in southwest China's Nanning raised the tarnishing of Myanmar's image in the film, which was shot by China and released in China and around the world. Despite only being released in August, No More Bet has become the third most popular film in China this year, raking in $717 million and supercharging online discussions about the dangers of visiting Southeast Asia. Elsewhere, a teenage boy arrested in connection with the felling of the world-famous sycamore gap tree has been released on bail. According to the police, the 16-year-old was arrested on Thursday afternoon on suspicion of criminal damage after the iconic tree next to Hadrian's Wall was cut down overnight. The sycamore, which stood in a dramatic dip in Hadrian's Wall and is believed to be around 300 years old, was looked after by both Northumberland National Park Authority and the National Trust. The National Trust stated that it was shocked and saddened to confirm that the iconic tree had been cut down overnight after pictures emerged on Thursday morning of it lying on its side near the ancient Roman wall, which is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Now in South Sudan, the United Nations Children Fund, UNICEF, on Thursday handed over a solar-powered water plant that will provide safe and clean drinking water to 45,000 residents of Yambio to the Western Equatorial State government. The solar water project, funded by the government of Germany through the development bank KfW, aims to improve access to safe drinking water. It comprises 5 boreholes, 31 water kiosks, and 40 kilometers of water pipes with a storage capacity of 250,000 liters. Speaking during the handover ceremony in Yambio on Thursday, Hamida Laseko, UNICEF's representative in southern Sudan, thanked all responsible for making the project a success. She also expressed her gratefulness to the German government for their support and investment in what she described as vital infrastructure. In another development, technology giant Huawei is building a commodities team to hedge the trade metals and energy products. According to the Chinese technology company's job post on professional social network LinkedIn, the company was looking for a commodity trader and a commodity market analyst in Singapore a month ago. Both positions are no longer accepting applications. The positions will work closely with Huawei's team in China and Hong Kong to grow its metals hedging and researching capabilities, as well as risk control, focus on ferrous, non-ferrous, and battery metals. And finally, on world news, the U.S. investment ban on Chinese entities will endanger the security and stability of the global industry chain. Beijing's International Business Councils said this on Friday, urging Washington to respect the laws of market economy and the principles of fair competition. The China Council for the Promotion of International Trade, CCPIT, and China Chamber of International Commerce said the US's move will also endanger normal commercial exchanges between the two countries. US President Joe Biden last month signed an executive order to curb some US investments in Chinese entities involved in semiconductors, microelectronics, quantum information technologies, and certain artificial intelligence systems. The investment ban has blurred and broadened the subject, object, and transaction type of restricted investment and implemented indiscriminate supervision on investments for both civilian and military purposes. And that's it on World News. Many thanks for staying with us. I'm Joy Adesuwa Iramosele. Do well to subscribe to our YouTube channel. It is Voice of the People TV, and on other social media platforms at VOP TV Live. Many thanks for staying with us. Good afternoon.